Have you kind of lost heart or maybe excitement or passion? Do you kind of wake up in the morning and you're a little bit reluctant to get out of bed? I know that feeling because I think a lot of us are kind of stuck in the cycle of life where we feel like, man, it's just moving and it's heavy, and how do I get off this ride or at least slow it down? Well, today I want to talk about this because these are the symptoms of a condition called weariness. And this is something that Jesus directly addresses in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Jesus not only identifies the problem, but he gives a very specific solution. This is what it says in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." The word rest here means to cease from movement or labor in order to recover your strength. It's a rest that rejuvenates. It's a rest that refreshes, it eases. It says it gives you a calm, patient expectation. Another word for that is hope, where you have hope again for the future, where you're excited about what's coming up in your life. And so the answer to our weariness isn't a holiday. It's not quitting our job. It's not zoning out on social media every evening before we go to bed. The cure is come to Jesus. And come to Jesus isn't about just going to church or attending a Bible study, even though those things are vital and absolutely necessary for our growth and for our health. But we can be in those places and not actually be with Jesus. It's come and stay, not come and go. And I think that's the thing a lot of us are missing in our walk with God is we have moments where we come and then we have to go. We move on from that place. But Jesus is asking us to come and to stay. Our connectedness to him isn't meant to be like an internet hotspot, right? Where you're just kind of trying to find a signal when you need one, you get connected, and then maybe you move on and you get disconnected. But it needs to be like an Ethernet cable, right? Where we are hardwired into the network. It doesn't come and go, it's come and stay. Come to me is about being in a relationship with Jesus to the point where we discover that he is enough, where his life and his nature rejuvenates us and refreshes us, spirit, soul, mind, and body. Because Jesus really is the only cure for the human condition, right? He's the cure for an anxious and fearful life. He's the cure for a rushed life, an impatient life. He's the cure for an angry life, a stressed out life, a shameful life. See, Jesus lived this life that we're living right now here on earth, but he lived it in relationship with his Father, connectedness to his Father. And even though he experienced the same struggles, the same stresses, right? You go through the New Testament and you see where he was upset, where he was angry, where he even cried and where he wept. All of those things that we feel, right? Stress with life, okay? The frustrations that came with dealing with people and working with people, frustrations that came from family members. But he was able to keep moving ahead with purpose, with strength, with clarity, with energy, and the capacity to bring along his disciples and those that were relying on him to lead them. So I want to encourage you today that living a weary-free life is possible. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Living a weary-free life is possible. You don't have to go through life every day feeling burdened and weary with all of the things that you're facing. And it becomes possible when it becomes intentional, your connectedness with Jesus. It's a practice to connect that becomes a habit for living. We practice connecting with Jesus every day until it becomes a habit of our life. And we need to practice spending time with Jesus in different moments throughout the day. Just take a moment every once in a while and be like, hey, God, I'm here. Where are you at? You know, I want to connect with your presence. I want to connect with your peace. I want to connect with your wisdom. Jesus, I just want to connect with you in this moment. It doesn't have to be something super hard or difficult or detailed. You don't even have to be by yourself. You can do it in your heart, but it's just about opening yourself up to being aware, Jesus, I need to connect with your presence right now. And what we need to do is give ourselves patience to learn how to live in this connectedness with Jesus, okay? Because practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes possible. The more we practice coming to Jesus, the more possible it becomes. The more we practice connecting with his presence every day, the more possible it becomes. So the promise that he gives us is rest from weariness. He promises to lift up those heavy burdens. He doesn't promise that we're going to live problem-free. That's not the promise. Okay, the promise is rest. What he promises is to give us the ability to move out of his strength, his wisdom, his creativity, instead of having to rely on our own wisdom, our own strength, our own creativity, our own ability, okay? So my connectedness to Jesus gives me the clarity and how to walk with him in this life and through this life. I don't have to rely on myself anymore. I get to rely on who he is. I get to rely on his presence in our lives. Our cultures are designed to completely fill up and devour our time and attention with meaningless pursuits. There is so much of our time that is wasted every day on nothingness. So my encouragement to you is it is up to you what you choose to come to. It's up to you what you choose to get connected to. And I want us to be intentional in connecting with Jesus, because in him is the solution to life, right? In him is peace. In him is wisdom. In him is clarity. In him is the ability. Our problems aren't going to go away. We're going to still face those financial struggles, those same fears, those same insecurities, but he's going to give us his perspective, his ability, his promise, his word to begin to face those things and go through those issues in his peace without that heaviness. Amen. So intimacy with God has no shortcuts. Moments with him aren't going to quench our thirst, right? God's not interested in being a bystander in our lives. He wants to be everything to us. And so God is not going to adapt to our schedule. If we're going to come to him, we're going to have to adapt to him. We're going to have to be willing to come to him at every moment, right? Not just when we have like, okay, God, here's my holiday, my day off. I'm going to spend some time with you. He wants to raise up people that he can know and trust with his presence. And it's going to take time, and we're going to have to go through the process, and it's going to be good in the end. I want to end again with Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. It says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." Come to me isn't an invitation for a moment, okay? But it is a position for life.